Confidence is a trader's greatest weapon, but also the reason most traders destroy themselves. Before we go deeper, I want you to really sit with that thought. Because in my years watching markets rise and collapse, studying the legends who walked before us especially, Jesse Livermore learned one truth that traders don't like to admit. We lose money long before we lose a trade. We lose it when we lose confidence. We lose it when our mind becomes louder than our method. And we lose it when we no longer trust the plan we wrote in calm waters. Comment. Hook. Before I go further, have you ever broken your own trading plan, even though you knew better? Comment below. I want to see how many traders are honest about this battle. Now, let's set the stage for this documentary. Picture the trading room, not the modern version with LED charts and the glow of 1,000 indicators, but the one Livermore described in his writings: the bucket shops, the chalkboards, the roaring speculation pits, men shouting prices, torches of hope and fear flickering in their eyes, fortunes rising and falling with every tick. And in the middle of that chaos, a man who operated more like a surgeon than a speculator. A man whose greatest edge wasn't information, or technology, or insider whispers. It was confidence-earned confidence, built on observation, discipline, and the steel grip of a clear plan. Jesse Livermore understood something we often forget today. The market doesn't reward intelligence. It rewards conviction, built from preparation. Yet, in the modern trading world, filled with dopamine notifications, social media noise, and the illusion of endless opportunities, confidence is more fragile than ever. One losing streak can shatter your identity. One missed entry can trigger a spiral. One emotional mistake can make you question everything you believed yesterday. That's why this documentary matters. Because confidence isn't a feeling, it's a system. It's a structure. It's a mindset forged through repetition, clarity, and the willingness to obey your rules when your emotions beg you to abandon them. When I speak to traders who blow up accounts, I notice something repeating across all ages, styles, and strategies. They didn't fail because their system was bad. They failed because they didn't trust it long enough. Livermore put it more sharply. A trader must believe in himself and his judgment if he is to make a living at this game. Today, we take that sentence too lightly. But in his world, believing in yourself meant believing in your plan even when the entire market was screaming the opposite direction. It meant trusting the structure you built in calm hours, not the impulse that hits you in panic. Confidence is not bravado. Confidence is not arrogance. Confidence is not luck coded in optimism. Confidence is discipline, remembered at the right moment. And as we journey through this story, my story, Livermore's story, you'll begin to see how confidence shapes every decision you make, every entry, every exit, every hesitation, every disaster, every victory. The entire trading world boils down to a single question: can you control yourself long enough to let your plan play out? And that brings us to the next chapter of this documentary. The hidden inner conflict that destroys most traders long before the market ever touches their stop. Because the hardest opponent you'll ever face is not the market, not volatility, and not your strategy. It's the paradox inside your own mind. Every trader fights two markets, the one on the chart and the one inside their own mind. Before I take you further into Livermore's philosophy, I want to expose a paradox that silently shapes every decision you make. As a trader, it's the paradox Livermore battled every day, and one modern traders still lose to, without even knowing it. Comment hook. Have you ever felt confident before entering a trade, but lost that confidence the moment you were inside it? Tell me in the comments, because that shift is where most traders fall apart. Now, let's enter the conflict. The market is a strange creature. It rewards discipline, yet tempts you with chaos. It demands patience, yet constantly flashes opportunities. It wants you to think independently, yet punishes you for being early, late, too eager, too fearful, too hopeful, too human. And inside all of this stands the trader, torn between two voices. Voice 1. I have a plan. I have levels. I know my system. I trust my rules. Voice 2. But what if this time is different? What if the market knows something I don't? What if I'm wrong? What if I miss out? What if it keeps running without me? Livermore understood this conflict better than anyone. He said, the market is never. Wrong opinions often are. But let's be honest, what he really meant was, your emotions are often wrong, because one thought, one flicker of doubt, can destroy hours, days, even years of discipline. And the paradox gets worse. When things are going well, when your entries are sharp, your stops respected, your profits smooth, you feel invincible. Confidence flows like water. The market feels predictable. Your system feels bulletproof. But the moment you hit a losing streak, the moment a perfect setup fails, the moment you follow every rule and still get stopped out, confidence shatters, and the paradox hits its peak. You trust your strategy when you don't need it. You doubt your strategy when you need it the most. This is the inner war every trader faces. I've met traders who could break down macroeconomic cycles like economists, analyze price action like mathematicians, and read market structure with surgical precision. They still lost money because when the trade went live, they couldn't trust themselves. They didn't blow up because they lacked knowledge. They blew up because they lacked emotional certainty. And here's where the paradox deepens. The market requires confidence, but confidence requires consistency, and consistency requires trust in your plan. Yet trust is fragile, shattered by a single moment of fear. Livermore wrote about this constantly. He admitted that the market often tested him, forcing him to question his own judgment. When his rules told him to hold, his emotions screamed at him to close early. When his system told him to wait, impatience begged him to enter prematurely. He learned, painfully, that the market's greatest trick is psychological confusion. Because when the market moves, it forces you to react. But when your plan moves, it forces you to obey. And most traders would rather react than obey. That's the paradox. That's the inner conflict. That's why consistency is rare. So let me ask you something directly. Do you trade to follow the market? Or do you trade to follow your plan? Answer that honestly, and you'll know whether you're operating with confidence or operating with fear disguised as strategy. Now that we've uncovered the internal war, we need to talk about the psychological trap that quietly captures nearly every trader. The trap Livermore warned about repeatedly, yet modern traders still walk into every single day. The most dangerous moment in trading isn't when you place a trade, it's when the market starts whispering to your fear. Before I reveal how Livermore handled confidence, you need to confront the core psychological trap that destroys traders more reliably than bad strategies, bad entries, or bad markets. Comment, hook. Have you ever felt your plan fading away the moment a candle moved against you? Let me know in the comments. Your honesty might help another trader understand they're not alone. Now, let's dig into the trap. Every trader begins a position with clarity. You've analyzed the chart, you've marked the levels, you've checked the trend, you've set the stop, you've calculated risk. Everything feels clean, clinical. For a moment, you feel almost mechanical. And then the market moves. Not dramatically, not violently, just enough to make your brain step into the room. That's when confidence fractures. Not all at once, but in small cracks. Did I enter too early? Should I tighten my stop? Should I exit now and re-enter lower? Is this reversal real? Maybe this setup isn't valid after all. This is the trap. The psychological trap is not fear of losing money. It's the fear that you might be wrong. And once that fear surfaces, the mind loses its structure and begins feeding you new ideas, mid-trade. Ideas that never existed when you wrote your plan. A small red candle activates the same physiological response as a predator moving in the woods. Your body wants you to do something, anything, to escape discomfort. That's why your hand moves toward the close button, even when your plan says otherwise. Livermore battled this constantly. He wrote about the tick-by-tick torture that traders experience when watching every movement. and how unnecessary observation creates unnecessary fear. His solution was detachment, a word traders misunderstand. Detachment doesn't mean indifference. It means obedience to the plan over obedience to the emotion. But modern traders were more exposed than Livermore ever was. He didn't have live notifications, 1-minute charts, Twitter panic, Telegram signals, YouTube alerts, algorithmic noise, or 1,000 voices shouting contradictory predictions. His battle was with price. Our battle is with price and noise. And this amplifies the trap. Because every moment you hesitate, there is another trader's opinion ready to replace your conviction with doubt. Every time you feel uncertainty, social media has an alternative narrative. And every time your trade ticks red, your brain presents a new plan you never agreed to. The psychological trap is simple. When the trade goes live, most traders stop following their plan and start following their emotions. And here is the dangerous irony. Your plan was logical. Your changes are emotional. And emotions rarely make profitable decisions. Livermore once said, "A trader must not be influenced by his hopes, fears, or wishes." That line sounds simple, but it is the foundation of confidence. As long as your decisions come from emotion, you cannot trust yourself. And if you cannot trust yourself, you will never trust your plan. And if you cannot trust your plan, confidence dies. Now that we've exposed the trap, it's time to explore how Jesse Livermore himself confronted this battle, how he built unshakable confidence in the stormiest markets of his era.